This is the day. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 34. There is a difference also between a wife and a virgin. The unmarried woman cares for the things of the Lord, that she may be holy, both in body and in spirit. But she that is married cares for the things of the world, how she may please her husband.
Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Why did I wave after I said hi? I don't know, but anyways, welcome back to my channel. So if you endured my first video, this one would not be as painful. It is much shorter. If you'd like to see my first video, I will definitely link it either above or below for you so you can watch it. But this video, I'm going to be talking about something that I kind of wanted to talk about for a while, but I guess I didn't know how to put it out there, but I just will. So today I'm going to be talking about being single, and this is not like another one of those, I'm Christian and single type videos, but really coming from my perspective. I am 38 years old and I'm still single, never been married, never had any kids. And yeah, so this is basically my story, my process, and I just want to throw out some things and you guys can let me know how you feel. At the same time, I'm going to be doing my makeup. I'm using, literally, this is the only thing I'm going to show you guys that I'm using, because this is not a makeup tutorial. Trust me, I don't have the makeup down packed like that. I'm very, very basic when it comes to my makeup, but I cannot live without my Pond's dry skin. This thing is like, I've been using it since I was in high school, and I can't use anything else on my face. But anyways, I usually start off with a clean face, and then I use my Pond's, and it just, give me that moisture that I need. But anyways, so I completely forgot I put a little bit of eyebrow pencil on. But anyways, it's not much. That's the other thing, my eyebrows are like, I have no eyebrows. But anyways, please don't wait for me to do them, because this is basically all that's going to happen. I just put them up and I shape them. That's it. Sorry if I'm disappointing you. There's about 1 billion makeup gurus on YouTube, so you can see them for tutorials, but we're just chatting right now. But anyways, I'm going to try to leave my hair out. It's about that time for me to take them out, so sorry if they're looking a little crazy and my edges are not slayed, so whatever. But anyways, so this is basically my story, and well, let me just tell you, let me try to make it quick because I don't want this to be super long. But anyways, so yes, I just turned 38 in February, and which is kind of crazy, but yeah, I'm 38, and I have only had a handful of boyfriends in my life. I shouldn't say only, because that's not bad, but anyways. But yeah, I've had only like a handful of boyfriends. You always start out with your play boyfriend, the one that your parents don't know about. Y'all only meet when y'all in school or something like that. So let's not really count that one, but anyways, I had one high school sweetheart, and after my high school sweetheart, I didn't really date anybody else after that for a long time, like 10 years, long time. And it wasn't because I was just trying to be single, but around my senior year in high school is when I truly gave my heart to the Lord, and I really was focused on God and nothing else. And not that I didn't have my little crushes, but I wasn't like focused on a relationship, and I was fine. My siblings have always had relationships. As a matter of fact, my siblings all of them were married at a young age. But that just wasn't my story. I was very single, and I was fine. I was never the type of person that had to be with somebody because everybody else was around me was with somebody. I was completely fine with being single, and at that time I was very on fire for the Lord. So my whole everything was about witnessing and doing Bible studies and having rap sessions, not like lyrically rap sessions, but we call them youth rap sessions, where we'll come together and talk about topics. So I was really into stuff like that. So I was not into like, I don't want to say I wasn't into like wanting to have a relationship. It just wasn't the focus, to make a long story short. And basically 10 years went by and I didn't have a significant other, and I had maybe 1 or 2 crush in between that span. And 10 years later, I was around 27 years old when I met somebody else. And anybody I've ever dated, I've always been friends with them first. I never just randomly found somebody or somebody found me and we just started like dating. Like, that ain't my thing. Like, people do that all the time, but that's weird to me. Like, I usually had to know people, their family and stuff like that. Like, for me to just like date a stranger, that's strange to me. But anyways, so my first relationship after high school was when I was 27, believe it or not. And I started dating someone who I had just met, and they were invited to my church by my ex-brother-in-law. And on the outside, this person was not somebody that I would have dated, for a couple reasons, but not to get into that because this is not about that individual. But it just wasn't something that, whatever. But at the time that I met this individual, I was going through a lot of personal stuff, and there was a lot of things going on around me. And I don't want to get into this other part of it, but anyways, it was kind of like the scenario where the wrong person showed up at the right time. And when this individual came around me, it was basically like an out for me. And I was basically able to escape in a way some hatery that was going on with me at the time. And I'm a very blunt person. Like, I don't run from people. I don't run from conflict. I never had a problem with dealing with conflict. But sometimes things can get very overwhelming. And at the time, I just was like over it. And when this individual came around, I was like, first of all, the funny thing about when I first met this guy was we had literally just come off of a fast, my church, a 3-day fast. And we used to do 3-day fasts all the time, like legit, no water, no food for 3 whole days. I've done that fast so many times. And I was like thin back then. I mean, I'm not really big now, but trust me, I'm way bigger now than I was back then. And by the time we finished the fast, I literally was 99 pounds. And I was looking crazy. My hair was looking crazy. My hair was relaxed back then, so I had needed a perm. Like, I was looking crazy. And this individual, for whatever reason, took a liking on me. And eventually, like, he got my number and then asked me out. And I was like, But I said yeah, because literally I was just like, okay. You know what I mean? It was like an out for me. So I started dating this individual to speed it up because, like I said, this situation is not about this individual. But basically, we started dating, and we dated for 2 years. And it was, we had the whole honeymoon period where in the first few months of our relationship, it was so fun for me because we went out all the time, and it was just fun. It was just like that typical fun, beginning stage relationship fun stuff where you're just out all the time and you talk about everything and you're learning each other. Like, it was wonderful. But obviously over time things like it went bad. It went real bad because this individual had a whole slew of strongholds that were like attached to him. And not saying that I was some perfect being, but this person was definitely caught up in a whole lot of stuff that I did not know initially. And so because of that, and because of these strongholds that this individual had, it just spilled over into a whole lot of other stuff. And it caused me things that I would never have engaged in. I started engaging in, and I do not mean sexually, because if anybody knows me, my testimony has always been I've practiced abstinence until marriage since day one. So yes, you heard it. I'm 38, and I'm still a virgin, and I give all glory to God for that. So I've heard the jokes, I've heard the scorn. It's so weird because back in the day, you give God thanks for something like that. When I say give God thanks, like, thank God he kept me, not like I, wanted to be this old and not, married or anything like that, but it has not been easy. But now it's weird because you'll get more people actually like, oh please, and it's like I'm not, I didn't say anything about you or what you've done. I'm just saying, like, I thank the Lord for keeping me. So anyways, but this individual was very much caught up in a whole lot of stuff and different things, like, because I'm very, like, my relationship with God has always been, like, when I say strict, not in a negative way, but you know how the Bible talks about the Nazarites. If you ever want to, search out the Nazarites, they had, basically they lived a more strict life than the other Jews lived. And that's basically how my upbringing has been. I had a wonderful upbringing, but God has called us to walk more of a sold out life for God than most people. And that don't make nobody worse than us. That don't make us better than nobody. It's just doing whatever God told us to do. I made that look crazy. Anyway, so it was just like little things. Like, I don't listen to secular music, and this individual got me into listening to secular music again. As a matter of fact, when I really gave my heart to the Lord, that was the hardest thing for me to give up, like, because I love worldly music back in the day. And so he got me listening to it again, like, oh, ain't nothing wrong with that, God don't care. And I'm not saying that somebody's going to hell over listening to secular music, but when God brought me out of that, he just made me completely about, him and feeding my spirit and not my flesh. So I gave that up. And so that individual got me back into listening to it. And within that, it was other things, that I saw myself compromising with. And like I said, it wasn't anything sexual, even though that individual had some major sexual strongholds. And if you ever heard his story, if he ever surrendered his life to God, he has a heck of a testimony. But he just had a lot of strongholds anyways. So let me let that be that. And so needless to say, that relationship turned toxic after a while, and it just did not, it didn't work out. And it was, around the time it was like, oh, marriage. I, honest to goodness, never intended to marry him. And he was just out for me. So even though I look back on all of the stuff that happened to me, and yes, a lot of stuff happened to me in that relationship, I ain't mad at nobody, because I had no business dating that individual in the first place. So I kind of just took that and allowed God to make that a learning lesson in my life. But a major thing to that is that after our whole relationship, I completely slumped into a state of depression after we broke up. And it wasn't because we broke up. It was me looking back on how much I compromised in that relationship. And I basically walked in a spirit of condemnation, like, oh my God, I can't believe that I allowed myself to go there. And so I was really messed up over that. And it just, a lot of negative stuff came out of that, to me, with me, my church family, like, a lot of things and people got involved that should not have. And it was because it was a relationship out of order. And so I had to be mature over time and realize that, Tiffany, you have no right to be mad or upset with anybody because you opened that door. And so it was such a heavy, heavy spirit that once that thing ended, like I said, I slumped into a depression. And sorry, everything looks so yellow, you can't even see this. But it was crazy. And so I truly have never, I feel like 100% I still have not snapped back into who I actually was since then. And just to put things into perspective, that relationship happened 10 years ago, not 20, God, 10 years ago. So when I look back at it, like, both of my major relationships, they were like 10 years apart. Like, I had a relationship, my high school sweetheart, that ended. Then I didn't date anybody to 10 years. And then after me and that individual broke up, here I am 10 years later and have not dated anybody. And same thing in this time span. It's not like, crushes have not come along, but I just never found myself in another relationship after that. And I have been, like, on a slow climb to get myself back to who I truly am. And one thing I'm very thankful is that I remember when I turned 30, I was like, oh God, I'm so happy I didn't get married in my 20s, because I was like, yo, like I really wasn't ready, and I really feel like when I turned over into my 30s, that's like a weird way to put it, turned over into my 30s, but when I stepped into my 30s, I really started to like kind of like accept me, like really accept me. And I've never been that individual where I'm like, I'm just like trying to find myself. Like I've always been pretty sure of myself, and of course I've struggled with certain insecurities, like what individual has not, I mean, still to this day, my biggest insecurity are my teeth, because I should have gotten braces years ago, but I did not. And I actually have a dentist appointment that just got canceled because of coronavirus. They don't open back up till like the middle of April. So, I'm going to start getting some dental work to prep my teeth for braces. So I'm very excited about that, way past due. I don't want to walk down the aisle with a crooked smile. But anyways, so, wow, look at this. I'm really going to have to edit this video. I'm already at like almost 16 minutes. But anyway, so me and this individual, we, no, let me fast forward. Sorry, I'm just trying not to poke myself in the eye. Clearly, I'm not a professional at this. But, so we basically, I tried to find myself after all of this and coming out of the depression and trying to find out who I am. Like I said, I still feel like I'm not 100% like fully free in who I was before. Back in the day, like I was a little, not that I've been like ever bubbly, but I was definitely not as like humdrum as I am now. And I know it's because of a bunch of things, not limited to that, but a lot of things that I've gone through in times past and even in recent years. And so within that too, I lost a lot of my discipline with a lot of stuff. So that contributed to it too. So anyways, just like getting back, I prayed a lot. Like I was always completely fine, like I said, with being single. But as I started getting older, particularly I want to say like when I was like 32 is when I started being like, okay, God, like I was like, when is this thing kind of going to happen for me? And I remember the first time that I had a thought like that, I was like, oh my God, Tiffany, like, ew, you never been like that. You good, you cool, But I started to think like, oh, like, when is this love thing going to happen for me? And so that at that point when I turned 32, it started happening like on and off for me. Like those feelings would come like, oh, when is it going to happen for me? And then I would rebuke myself and like, no, and then I'll be fine, like literally legit fine for like another year. And then after another year, that thought of feeling will come up again. And then more particularly when I was like 34, 35 is when I was like, okay, I want to have a couple kids, and it wasn't so much that I didn't think I could have kids when I was older, but I was like, look, honestly, at a certain point, I started to get a little too used to the single life. Like the fact that I only cook when I feel like cooking. I don't have to cook for anybody. If I want to have a bowl of cereal for dinner, I can do that. But like if I get married, my husband ain't going to try to hear a bowl of cereal, not unless he wants it. You know what I mean? So I started thinking about stuff like that, like, wow, I'm too used to this. I could get up, go when I want to. I don't have no attachments. When I want to go somewhere, I can go. I don't have any kids to think about or things like that. But at the same time, the other side of me fully wanted that life, like fully wanted to embrace it. And so I was kind of having like this, like bouncing back and forth, like, okay, God, is this life for me? I'm like, but I can't imagine me never having this experience in my life. So I started like going back and forth, like, what's what. And then God keeps telling me, like, because I'm, at a certain point, I literally was like, God, I surrender to you. If that life is not for me, like, just give me something great to do, God, just, whatever. And God keeps telling me, like, no, you're going to get married and you're going to have kids. So I already know that that's a part of God's plan for my life. But here I am just celebrated my 38th birthday. And I'm like, okay, God. Okay, like, Now at this point, I'm just getting lazy, so I don't even know, if this is what I want. But honestly, I do. I'm just like, whatever. So, anyways, so fast forwarding, I've had a couple crushes in those times and in between those times, and I would never truly let it go anywhere because I'm like, it's all good to, have somebody say something cute to you and you say something cute back. But I'm also at that stage in my life where there are no time for games. You know what I mean? So I'm not interested in just having a crush. I'm 38. I'm not 28. I ain't 22. I ain't 18. It's like, where we going? What's happening? And I'm just like, I don't know why that dog is barking, but I'm just like, God, I don't know. Like, God, show me what you want. And I probably would have been embarrassed in times past to say something like this, but I've definitely had moments of being anxious, like, when is it going to happen for me? And I hated that because I never, ever been like that before. And I had to, like, bring that in and ask God to, like, give me a spirit of peace and just kind of, like, just let everything be and trust God's timing. And obviously, when I'm looking at, like, the course of certain things that have happened in my life in recent times, I'm like, like, really, all of the stuff that I'm dealing with now and coming out, I'm like, God, I want to be finished and done with those things. Like, I don't want to carry things into my marriage. And in addition to that, I'm not even where I want to be financially. I'm not, I'm just, like, not there. But at the same time, I'm feeling like I'm ready or getting ready. Like, I'm almost at that point. And I just started to, like, I've always been like, I don't think that a person should, a lot of times Christian women, I think so many of them are looking for a husband to be like a savior, save them out of their fight. Oh, my husband pay my bills. And yes, a husband should provide. But my mom always taught me that when you're getting married, each individual needs to bring something to the table. You know what I mean? And it's not just your good looks. Like, you shouldn't just be bringing your bills to the table. And for years, I was completely debt free. And I got into debt like a few years ago trying to do like a business deal. And it just have weighed on me so much. So, but I'm also the type of person that pays my bills. So even though I have like a few large debts, I constantly pay them and I pay them on time. But I just want to completely wipe them out. So, my credit is good and like all that. I think about stuff like that. And I don't think a lot of times people think about things like that. They just so in love. But when you realize that you're going to actually be attached to that person, not just physically, but their bills are going to be your bills and like all of that stuff, it comes together when you get married, whether you realize it or not. So I was just thinking like, I need to have my stuff in order. And so even though I know I'm a good budgeter and I pay my bills, like, I need to have a savings, like a nice savings, and, I want to be debt-free. Like, I just started thinking about all these things, and I'm like, God, instead of me being anxious, these are the things that I need to be working on while I'm waiting. Whatever insecurities and strongholds and different things that I've had and residues from other relationships that I had, like, this is the time where you want God to clear you out, not you waiting on the side with all of those things still attached to you, waiting for the next person to come by. It's like, no, like, this is a time that we should really be, like, focusing on God so that he can get ourselves in order, so that when God brings us to that individual, God allows for women, when God allows that individual to find you, that you can be prepared and ready and waiting. And so I just like, at this point I'm like, God, please, like, don't even let me like anybody if that person is not for me. Like, I just want to, like, I want to be ready, and I want to preserve myself, every part of me, mentally, physically, emotionally, everything, to be preserved for that individual. And in the time that I'm waiting, let me wholeheartedly give myself to you and not be caught up in all this other stuff, and not to be found like just doing old things that I used to do, old mindsets and stuff like that. So it's like, it has definitely been a struggle. This life has not been easy. I'm not just like, oh, yeah, God has kept me, Trust me, no. Trust me. No, but God is good. He's definitely good. And I definitely believe that I'm almost at that season in my life Sorry this video is so long. Yikes. Guys, I know that video was super duper long, so I'm gonna make this outro really quick. Thank you so much for tuning in. I pray that something that I said touched you in a certain way, even if it was to let you know that maybe you're not the only person that's going through something that I have went through. Thank you so much. I cannot wait to hear some of your experiences and some of the things that you may like to share with us. So on that note, please don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Don't forget to turn on the notification button so that every time I upload a new video, you can be notified. Super excited about this new process that God has me in. So I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much. Mwah.